Thank you, Alex. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's regular council meeting for the 13th of February. And we'll start this meeting off by calling this to order at 9:30. And I'll read off the territorial land acknowledgement. Before our meeting gets underway, I would like to formally recognize the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectively acknowledge the township of Allen-McCullum is located on the Mississauga-Ashaninbenk territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississauga-Ashaninbenk. The township of Allen-McCullum respectively acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and the integrity for generations to come. I'll also read the procedural bylaw portion that involves council meetings. Regular council meetings are open to the public and they are encouraged to attend. To speak at a regular meeting, a request for delegation form must be submitted to the clerk. These forms are available on our website. Public meetings are open to the public. They allow members of the public to address council without the need to pre-register their request. An example of a public meeting is a planning meeting where land use planning applications are reviewed and council seeks input from the public. Closed sessions may occur during a council meeting to discuss confidential matters as identified in the Municipal Act, Section 239. Members of the public are not permitted in these meetings. Moving on to item 3, a moment of silence for our fallen soldiers and citizens. Thank you. I'm going to ask for disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Deputy Mayor Stover.
Mayor Logo, through you, I'll be passing a declaration to the Madam Clerk. It's just out of an abundance of caution. I don't believe I have a declaration to make, but I don't believe that there is any budget matters being discussed in the minutes, but just out of an abundance of caution, I'll pass a declaration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other declarations, Mike?
Through you, Mayor. Yes, I have one here for the item enclosed when it comes to ATV and the county forest trails.
Okay. Thank you. We'll pass that on to the clerk. Deputy Clerk. We're going to move on to approval of the agenda. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular council session of Tuesday, February 13th, 2024 be approved as amended to include 2 additional items. Item 12.1, community alert, toxic drug supply suspected in nearby community. And item 14-1, subsection D, 2024 draft budget staffing requests. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Mike, seconded by Mary Catherine. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Item 6. This is regarding the session minutes of July 18th and the regular session minutes of September 5th, 2023. Be it resolved that the regular council session minutes of July 18th and September 5th, 2023 be approved. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor O'Neill and seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? Go ahead.
I think it would come in business. I don't, whichever way you want to do it.
Okay, well, that's probably the right way to do it. This is really checking for graphical and that type of stuff. Mike?
Through you, Mayor, I just had a question if we had any update on the for the July 18th minutes when it comes to the Golden Beach Cottages mailing addresses.
Can we wait until we approve the minutes as presented? Then we'll go back into business arising proposed minutes.
Okay, thank you.
So we have a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Motion's carried. Are there any business arising from those previous minutes? Mary Kathleen?
I was just wondering, we've got different staff here today, and I'm wondering whether we'll be getting a bylaw update of how things are going at some point.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. Oh, are you talking?
We passed it in that meeting, the establishment in our new bylaw position, and we just haven't had an update on how well that's going. And then I'll leave my other ones in Councillor Ainsworth, and I have
talking
the same
specifically-
question.
Are you talking specifically about the CAO?
No, the bylaw department.
Oh, the bylaw department.
We set it up in the minutes there, and then I just wanna,
Okay, thank you. Then you can, that's fine. Oh, well, do you want to report? What are you asking for?
good question. If you want to give a short update, that would be fine, but I would like a written report at some point.
Mike, you have a comment?
Yes, I do, through you, Mayor. So there was an item on there when it came to the Golden Beach Cottages mailboxing addresses. Pardon me?
7-1.
7.1.
July.
July 18th. And so I just wondered if we got anywhere with the ad there. Is it still ongoing? Obviously, probably, but I just wanted to see if that we didn't kind of lose track of that. It's kind of important when it comes to elections.
Maybe a little bit difficult because are you familiar with what he's talking about, Dave? Okay. No longer you're probably familiar with it, perhaps.
I don't see the item on July 18th as 7.1. That was all fire department.
Yeah, I think it is the next set of minutes, sorry, September 5th.
Is it September?
Okay.
Okay, let me just take a quick peek.
Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. And it looks like the acting CAO and clerk was to follow up. So, I do believe they're not full year residences. So that is why I think they do not have a mailbox or a post office box. I think this might be something our planner might have to look at. Because it does have to do with the property, right? It has to do with the zoning of the property. They are a campground. And I don't believe that year-round residency is permitted there.
I think we better check that out. Because
Yeah.
my impression of it is that one specific portion of the property is zoned for 12 months.
There is a bit of a stipulation. I think there is something in our zoning bylaw that stipulates a certain time limit, but it's not a full time. It's not 12 months of the year. But if,
Then there are people staying.
Yeah,
And the problem, my understanding of the problem is all they want is the post office. And they're not getting their mail from the post office. It's sent directly to Georgian. Georgian, what's it called?
Golden Beach.
Golden Beach, pardon me, yes.
Yeah.
It's sent directly to Golden Beach, and these people feel that they have a residence. And they should be getting what they're asking for, and the province, from my understanding, not the province, the post office.
Yeah,
You're
post.
not gonna make mailboxes. But it should be resolved one way or another, and if Dave and his team can look at it, we'd appreciate that.
okay, did you want to put a resolution forward? forward for that?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
There might already be one. Like because I think when we first talked about this, I think we had maybe go back and check and see what we did the first time. That's kind of why I'm bringing it up.
I'd say let's make another, doesn't matter what's last, if we want to do something now. let's do it.
Okay.
Go forward.
So would you like
So
to
it-
make a motion?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that staff look into with the Canada Post about mailboxes at Golden Beach Cottage.
Seconder? Second by Deputy Mayor Stover. Further discussion? Go ahead, Mayor Galvin.
I do believe that there is something happening with our planner, because when I brought forward my housing motion and it talked about the trailer park, she said, oh yes, I've done a little bit of research already because of the mailboxes. So, but yeah, I don't know where it is, other than she is
said she
aware of the
hasn't
issue.
Anything else to do with the business arising from previous minutes? Mike?
One more, Mayor. The closing of the Ontario Street in Lakeport, has that been resolved or is there any update on that? That was 11.2.
For you, Mayor, I'm familiar with it, but I don't think anything's done.
Okay. Can I give a brief statement of what we talked about? So Public Works is supposed to go down and kind of look at the area. And it's the owner wanted to see if he could put do not enter signs up at the corner of Ontario Street there in Lakeport, because when cars are coming around, they're shining their lights right in his windows. Where the little park is at the very end of it. And I don't know if we ever resolved that or not.
For you, Mayor, we can go back down and take a look at it. I know, in the past, the Public Works Manager was dealing with it, but I'm not sure where it was left, so we can certainly take a look at that.
Okay,
Thank you. Any further comments?
Yes, this is a park that is used by the community, and I think he was wearing his Parks and Recreation hat as much as Public Works when he was looking at that. So I'm not sure where our current acting CAO would like that to fall, but it does need to fall on someone's desk.
Probably violent. Anyway, Steve, your thoughts. You're going to investigate and get back to us, okay? Thank you. Greg, did you have any comment?
I just wanted to say we still have a motion on the floor. It was moved and seconded. We haven't voted yet.
Okay. What is the motion?
The motion was to have staff look into the Canada Post mailboxes at Golden Beach Resort.
All in favor? Motion's carried. And who started? You started this one off, Mike. Any other further comments? Would you like to make a motion?
For Lakeport. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that staff look into the residents' complaint. And bring us back a report.
Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to say through you, your worship, we already have that motion. The manager was looking into it. He actually came back to us and said he needed more time and he was looking into it. So
I think what we're looking for is an update.
fine. We want an update, but I don't think we should make another motion. We made one already, right? And that person was supposed to get back to us. So obviously with that person not being here, they'll have to give it to somebody else to look at.
Okay, any other comments? I have one, and it was regarding to recommendation from staff that the council meetings be dropped from 3 meetings a month to 2 meetings a month. That was a recommendation, and I believe council accepted that recommendation. Probably at the time, we were too busy, but we really should. I'm interested in knowing how much time we've actually saved staff. And I'm sure we have saved time, but it would be nice to know that that's the right thing to do by seeing how much time we actually saved. I expect it was from yourself and a lot of the, some clerks as well, and perhaps maybe other people, but it would be nice to see a quick report, see how much time we've saved.
Through you, Mayor. At this point in time, I think we can't really provide you with the numbers or the report, only because of all of the transitioning that has taken place within the last few months. It's hard to see that being a benefit at this point because we've been down a staff member almost since we've made that decision. If we could maybe have more time going forward to see if it's going to work once we have a full complement of staff. If I could make that recommendation.
Joan?
Through your Mayor Local. My comment is I find it better, if for lack of a better word. It gives me more time to do other projects. So that would only be that would be my comment. But I do understand that the clerk's office, CAO office, come ahead of my comment. Thank you.
I don't know if they were recommending that for staff or for council.
Yeah.
My comment. Go ahead, Dave.
Through your mayor, I'd just like to make an overall comment with respect to the council meetings. I think that the more organized the township business becomes, the more things are handled and gathered up, that the less will need to come to council. So overall, 2 meetings a month. You have noticed already the agendas have started to shrink. I know that minutes are slowly being caught up. And I think overall we're headed in the right direction, so that it would appear.
And I guess there is a plan to catch us up. We really, our goal, I don't know if you're thinking differently, but our goal should be to have the monthly, 1 month after the minutes are, or the meeting, the minutes should come as well. But no, but I think they're behind quite a bit on that, but that has to be the ultimate goal. Further comments? Yeah, well, I can accept that we'll wait for a report. But it would be nice to get a report to know how much we are actually saving. Moving on, number 8. Anybody else have any further questions or comments? Okay, moving on to number 8, Building Planning Department. 8-1, the building report summary for January 2024 from the chief building official. And I believe we have Nick on the line. Nick, you want to take us through your report?
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up here on the computer.
Are you there, Nick? Does council have any questions regarding Nick's report? There's not too much to look at there, but if you can't find it, Nick,
No, I have it here. I have it pulled up.
okay,
Yeah, it's been, yeah, January typically slows down a little bit for applications. It's given me a chance to work on some of the procedures, going forward. And then compiling the numbers, to complete for, year end. We've already got 14 new applications since the 1st of January, so, I expect that it's gonna be another busy year. Last year was down as we all know. I think that the interest rates beginning of the year and some uncertainty probably is a major factor in that. Yeah. Are there any questions?
Go ahead, Joel.
Through your Mayor Logo to Nick, the 14 applications that you have, Nick, how many of those are for dwelling units, like housing dwelling units?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. There's 4 single-family dwelling applications right now. We have 3 sheds, a deck, and I think 2 pool enclosures. So off the top of my head, that's what I remember that we have.
Thank you.
So are these figures for January, end of January, or for today?
The figures in the report are to the end of January.
Okay, and the ones you just quoted, the 14 are for January, or are they today?
They're up to date.
Okay. I had a couple questions, and it's kind of, you're leading me into them. I just don't quite understand how the process works. And I might be, hopefully I'm going to make this clear enough when I ask. When is it one building permit issued? After there's been an application and you've investigated it, or is it after everything's done?
So the applicant comes in and they drop off their application. There's several documents that are required as part of that application. So within 48 hours of the applicant coming through the door, we will notify them if the application would be deemed complete or incomplete. If it's incomplete, we let them know what documents we need. Once we've accepted it, at that time, then I review the building plans. I review for zoning compliance. I review to ensure that all applicable law has been met. So if they need a sewage system, if they need Lower Trent approval or any conservation approval. And then once all of that's been met, then I send them an email and issue the permit. Or I tell them that the permit is ready for issuance. They have to come in and pay before we formally issue the permit.
Okay. So just carrying that on a bit pardon me, this year you issued 2 permits. So someone has followed that all the way through and you're able to issue a permit.
That is correct.
Thank you. And the 48 that you have sitting on the table, are they legitimate ones, or are they held up for some reason or another?
So they are all in various stages of whether it's an upper tier approval, whether it's a sewage system or it's a Lower Trent, or the applicant hasn't gotten back to me with a drawing or a plan that properly depicts what they want to do.
Okay, and that's a big, in my opinion, that's an awful big number that you may not have any control of. But you're still recording it as 48 that are in process.
That is correct. There's 48 applications that have been made, but to date are not complete.
Or may not even, or are they still being considered by the applicant?
They I don't know how many exactly the applicants are still considering. Sometimes what happens is an applicant comes to the department and thinks that, the documents that they have or the application they've submitted is complete enough to warrant a permit. But when we're missing stuff and we send it back to them, sometimes they just kind of disappear. I currently don't have time to follow all of those up, whether we close them, we cancel them. That's a process that should be done. If an application sits idle for, 6 months, we'll say an email should be sent to the applicant to say, hey, what are you doing? What's your plan? And so when that email would go out, the applicant would respond with, I'd like to cancel my permit. But before we can do that, we have to go to the site and inspect to verify that they haven't actually done the construction without the permit and are just saying, well, I don't need a permit anymore because I'm already done.
It sounds like a complicated thing and I don't know if we can do something, but it's, when I see 2 done and 48 in the process, that can lead me to think that, we've got a year's work ahead of us right there. And I don't know whether that's possible or not. I expect it's a combination of everything, but anyways, food for thought. I would suggest that, and maybe I missed it, but on your next report that you show how many new ones you've had that month. And that could be there. I just may have missed it, but I didn't see anything.
New applications?
Yes.
Yep, I can add that.
Okay. Anybody else have any? Yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Logal, as I'm listening to the conversation, I'm just wondering if the process could be started a little differently where everybody has, if they do not have these or all the permits or all the steps followed, then it doesn't go into the building office until they have it. It doesn't get or even noted, similar to the short-term rental licensing that comes through. I'm just wondering if that could be vetted at the start and then that would expedite this process and save a lot of follow-up. That's just my thought on it.
Go ahead, Dave.
Through you, Mayor, in conversation with Nick, the reason for going with cloud permit is because it will do what you're identifying.
Oh, okay.
It will not be accepted until it is complete.
Oh,
And
okay.
that also speaks to Nick's requirement under the building code with respect to timelines for review and issuing a building permit, is that the review actually doesn't start until the application is complete.
Perfect.
But I will say that just in conversation with Nick this morning, a large part of his job has been chasing the number of building permits that have been issued that are incomplete. And when you look over a number of years perspective, even having 48 building permits in the queue that we don't know what's going on with them, you can imagine when you start compounding that number by hundreds, the amount of workload it puts on one's desk.
Mhm. Very good.
And I have one question in the mentioned time. Whose responsibility is it to request for a final inspection? Nick, you want to respond to that?
Yep, absolutely. It is the applicant's responsibility to call and notify us that they're ready for a final inspection.
And if they do that, fine. If they don't, then it don't happen. Correct?
Correct.
Well, unless you go chasing around yourself. Go ahead, Dave.
Through you, Mayor. Nick, I'm just going to emphasize the council that it's the applicant's responsibility to notify the building department at every stage that an inspection is required throughout the build process. It's their responsibility. There is no way that a building department could manage every single permit when their inspections are required because they can't possibly follow the building process. everything has a different timeline. So that's why it's their responsibility.
And is there a penalty for not following their responsibility?
Yes.
That would be a question to Nick. Nick, is there a penalty under the code?
There's not a penalty per se under the code unless you start building without your permit. At which point the penalty as laid out is your permit fees are double. But if a person were to start their project and skip an inspection, then that person needs to prove to me, the inspector, that what they did is compliant. Sometimes for a set of footings, for example, that could be, calling an engineer or a consulting firm to come in and verify that, hey, what was done is okay. And so I guess the penalty could be, or would be considered, having to hire an engineering firm, and the cost of that to bring me a document that says the engineering firm is satisfied with the structure that I can't see anymore.
To add to that, Mayor, Nick, we're also doing a revision of the fees and services bylaw that the incorporation of an administrative fine with respect to not following the bylaw is being looked at. Would that be correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you, Dave. I think that's good because in my opinion, if it's their responsibility and they don't follow up and do their response, we're holding the township liable for not doing something that we've never been asked to do. And I've heard from people, some people that said, I tried to sell my property and I didn't have a final inspection and now I can't sell it. Anybody heard of those before? And so they say, the township let me down. They didn't, but we can't find a record of them ever asking us to do a final inspection. Anyways, Mary Cathy, you have a comment?
There's another player in this whole story, and that's contractors, and they have responsibilities as well. And I think that's important to keep in mind.
Okay, good point. Who is responsible then, the owner or the contractor? The owner.
I can answer that if, through you, Mayor. Every permit is issued to a property, to the homeowner of the property.
Okay.
The homeowner can opt to hire an agent, at which point they fill out an agent authorization letter, and the contractor becomes the one that deals with the building department for inspections, scheduling, fixing deficiencies, and all of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if the contractor they've hired and the contract they signed with that contractor doesn't include, must be final clause, then the contractor walks away and gets paid, and the homeowner is not aware that a final inspection's not been done. We definitely have that happen a lot.
Great.
Through your worship to Nick. Nick, could you tell me just generally, so how many inspections would you have on a new home? How many would you have for a shed? How many would you have for a deck?
Yeah, so, sorry,
Go ahead.
through you, Mayor. So for a new home, we have footings, we have backfill, we'd have framing, insulation, HVAC, occupancy, and then the final, so 7. We allot for 1 re-inspection when we calculate our time. Whether, if maybe it wasn't completely ready or, something failed. So that calculation allows for 1 additional inspection. For a deck, you would have footings, framing, and a final. Oftentimes with the deck, the framing and the final gets done at the same time, so long as they're not covered in the bottom of the deck. A shed, depending on, like a shed that sits on a pad, we would not have to inspect the pad. We check the anchors to make sure the shed's anchored down. So that would be 2 or 3. A garage would be footings, framing, vinyl. Yeah,
So to summarize, you had about 8 for a home, 2 to 3 for a deck, 2 for a shed, and maybe 3 for a garage,
correct.
roughly. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Nick. Great discussion, and I've learned an awful lot that I didn't know about what goes on in building. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mover and a seconder to accept the reports from building inspector, moved by Deputy Mayor Stover.
Sorry if I could just interject. Mayor, through you, can we also add to the motion, the request to add new applications to the reports going forward as well?
Thank you. So we're going to add that, my thought was that we should add the new ones coming in each month. So can we get a mover and seconder of that amendment? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Public Works Department update. I'm not sure Dave or Sue or yourself gonna. Okay, anybody have any questions or comments regarding that information supplied by Public Works? Mike, go ahead.
To you, Mayor, can we clarify that, when it says we have responded to all concerns, does that mean they're done or they're kind of on a checklist?
Through you, Mayor, it means that we've responded to all of them. Some of them where we're able to finish or create a conclusion, we do, but there are definitely some that are ongoing.
So would that be month to month also? Like, would there be some that are pertaining to, like, say, January or December that aren't done?
So there are many factors varying the circumstances for the outcome, being weather, being staff availability, storm impacting timelines. Could be that certain issues with respect to signage are going through bylaw, or with respect to unassumed roads are going through zoning. Research is being done. If there was anything specific that you're after, I could try to find it.
Well, I guess my concern is that so we don't start getting calls from residents why this hasn't been done. I just wondered if we could maybe get an update on the ones that are completed. If it's not too much more work for this report.
So when a complaint comes in, there is personal information on it. So we cannot share it with you. But we can tell you that specifically every complaint that is coming in through the website now on a form is getting a reply within a reasonable amount of time and is being added to the list. Staff are checking it and there are notes on it. I know that when things are being dealt through bylaw, that there is a conclusion email that is sent to say that we have dealt with it. Once we get into personal information or information concerning one's property, there's a lot of it that we just can't share back, but that we've taken the complaint and that we have dealt with it to the capacity that we can. So sometimes what we find is, I'll give you an example. In theory, there was a complaint that came in because a resident's friend of the residents felt that their emergency access was not being cared for appropriately by the roads department. As it turned out, the access that they were using, they do not have a permit for. They've never applied for a permit for it, and they should not be using it as an access to the property. Meanwhile, the access that they do have a permit for that is allowable has a culvert and it accesses an appropriate road. They just chose not to keep maintained. So is that the township's problem or is that the landowner's problem? So there's so much that goes into the discoverance of what is actually wrong with the complaint to be able to address it specifically, that from a liability standpoint with respect to the township, we have to do our research and we have to know what is the appropriate answer. Some things are a quick, simple fix. Other things become quite involved.
So would it be all right to ask for on here, what the complaints, not complaints, but how many complaints haven't been dealt with from the previous month?
We could give you a report as to the number of complaints that
Yeah.
have come in
Well-
and how many complaints have been dealt with.
Yeah, or at least finished or completed
Or not.
or not.
It's really what we're trying to do is make sure that they're all.
Yeah.
completed.
Yeah, I think that's my concern. I mean, because I get a fair amount of phone calls from residents and I just like to know that whatever these complaints are here that are getting done or they're checked off the list and.
Yeah.
And from month to month.
So through you, Mayor, I'd like to comment on that. And because I've had many conversations with all of our counselors, there are a lot of complaints come in because there are a lot of residents who are just not educated in what the appropriate rules and regulations are. We know from history that bylaw has suffered incredibly. We know that many residents do not know half of the bylaws that exist. We have to educate. We also know that I would suggest on 50% of the complaints that come in that I've been privy to are false. But yeah, we can report a number and we can give as much information as we can. Just when it becomes to somebody's privacy, we
Yeah.
can't divulge that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Technically, if I can, technically, a person that calls you, in my opinion, should be referred to staff. And told that if you don't get a satisfactory result, please call me back and I will continue it further up into a council meeting.
Yep.
And as far as being privacy and that type of stuff, if you're having a problem with, this is an example, someone complaining about the exact thing you just mentioned, about their entranceway, all you've got to do is report that there's an entranceway issue that I can or cannot resolve, and that's respecting everybody's privacy, correct? Greg, did you have
Okay.
any comment on this?
So,
Okay.
sorry, Mayor. So just for final, we'll receive a little report on like previous months, what's been completed. Just basically have to tell us that.
We can go back and we can provide reports to what confers with what we're allowed to do.
Yep.
We can definitely do that. I think that there probably needs to be a conversation with council with respect to all of the requests and demands
Mhm.
and the amount of staff time that it takes to do it. So we have to walk a fine line with respect to, being involved with operations and being involved with governance. Mayor Logo brings up a good point, and that is it should be directed from staff. We have to build confidence in council that staff is looking after the situations.
Yeah.
And if we can do that in a reasonable, efficient way, then I think that would be ideal for sure.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Go ahead.
Through your Mayor Logo, I just have a concern that every time that we ask for a report, the amount of time that's included, and you, Mr. CAO has just mentioned it. I think we really need to be careful what we're asking for in reports, or how many reports we're asking for. That would be my only comment there. And if I could just add, I direct people to fill out the compliment and the complaint form and call me back if they're not satisfied with what they get. And I haven't had any concerns in that way since it's been handled in the last little while. Thank you.
Anybody have any further comments? Mary Catherine?
just picking up on some of the discussion thus far, I think the only things as a counselor I really want to see is there an area that staff is struggling for whatever reason to close on whatever issue? Then it needs to come to us so we can help direct money there or direct staff hours there. But so long as staff is feeling like, okay, these issues, and we're not getting a bunch of phone calls, in which case we would need to bring it back. But I'm like you, Mayor or Deputy Mayor, I'm not getting a lot of concerned phone calls. As I say, I get a handful, I direct them to that form. Nobody's phoning me back again after that.
Thank you. Mike, were you gonna make a motion or no?
No, I don't,
You don't want to report that?
well, yes, I'd like a,
We're getting two councilors that are saying that they don't think we need it. You have to make a decide.
well, that's fine. I just, just in out of habit, it's like, we, you keep kind of like a to-do list. How's that to-do list looking?
Yes.
Through you, Mayor, a lot of times we get into conversations that, it's a struggle to keep the horse before the cart. We have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of change that needs to happen. I think that this will be able to be solved through quarterly health reports from the departments to council. And then we will stop seeing piecemeal reports coming at request. Rather, council can expect that quarterly they can get a health report, and it becomes a requirement of the department to provide that to council. And then council, it will also create more efficient meetings because council won't feel the angst of, I gotta ask a question because I gotta know what's going on. They'll know that, you know what? In March, I'm gonna get a health report. I know in June, I'm gonna get a health report. So that's just part of the organizational structure or management as we move into 2024 and what I've identified in the cleanup that needs to happen, but I will speak to more of that later.
Okay, thanks.
I would suggest, Dave, I think it's a great idea to do it quarterly. The only thing I would suggest is you do it in the figures for March, so reports coming in on a quarterly basis. Further discussion? Can I get a mover in it? Well, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved, the council of the township of Allen Calderman receive and file the Public Works Department update report, and further that council review the attached request from Rod Simpson for the Northumberland Run Forest Run. I guess we better discuss that before we continue on with the reading of this. So there's a note from a Mr. Rod Simpson, and I believe he's requesting that there's a walk being held through a run, pardon me, through the county forest. And he's looking for our approval to do that. Anybody have any questions or comments regarding the letter? Go ahead, Greg.
Through you, your worship, to, I guess, the CAO or maybe even I'm not sure who to answer, but I'm just wondering whether the insurance is enough. $2 million worth of liability seems quite low to me in times like now. In fact, I recall a lot in the last council where they were asking events to be up to $5 million now. I'm just wondering whether somebody has actually looked at that 2 million's okay. A lot of participants running in there. I'm not sure whether it goes to somebody to look at or.
Through the mayor. So we received this request along with the update from Public Works, and in the past, we have, I believe the Public Works manager had approved for this to take place. Now, what they have to initially do is get permission from the county. So they have received a permit from the county to run this event through the forest. As per county requirements, I'm assuming the insurance coverage is justifiable for their permitting purposes. All they're asking from us is basically permission to use a portion of the trail structure that is within our jurisdiction. So we don't have a permit to issue to them on that basis, but they're just looking for permission as part of their permitting process with the county.
Go ahead.
So maybe, is it possible then, Dave, we can just make a quick phone call to the county to make sure that if they're okay with the $2 million, then I would be too.
Go ahead, Dave.
To your mayor, Councillor Booth. So with respect to the application process with the county, it identifies the minimum requirement. And if the county has given them a special permit as part of this, they will have checked the box on insurance. And in fact, it's not an insurance policy that is just separate for this township. It will be a blanketed policy that it recognize us as co-named, as co-insured on the event, including Northumberland County and township. So there's no agreement that we have with respect to this. This is something that we're allowing under the Northumberland County forest agreement. The other thing I will say is that in close, when we were discussing the agreement with the county, this exact example will be discussed in detail.
And I'll make one, I'm not exactly sure on how insurance works, but I would expect that is $2 million liability per person. So everybody that was in that, there was a catastrophe and something had happened, 13 people hurt or something like that, that would be $26 million, I believe. Is that correct?
My understanding, Mayor Vogel, is that the terminology is called per occurrence.
Per occurrence, yeah.
So we would need an insurance specialist to identify that, or a broker, what exactly that means. But that is usually the terminology that's used. Okay. And then there will be a blanket, a ceiling within that policy as well. Which would mean more like a cumulative. What that is.
So what is our instructions to staff?
I'm satisfied with the answer I got. I'm sure if the county had an issue with the $2 million and they wanted it higher, then they would tell them. I just wanted to make sure this person just wasn't every year they just apply the same thing and they say it's $2 million and it's been like that for 10 years or whatever, that somebody is at least taking a look at that to make sure that it's updated, but I'm fine with the answer. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor, I will say through the motorized groups in the county forest that the county is asking for $15 million liability.
Are you able to, did you disclose on this particular issue?
No.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Through your mayor logo, I'm fine with this, whatever we have to do to get this to the next stage.
And the reason I was asking you that, Mike, was because I'm not exactly sure. I thought you said something about the county forest, and I thought maybe this is what you were.
Yes, no.
referring to.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna read the resolution. If anybody can't support it, you'll be able to say so. Be it resolved that the council of the township of Elmacalda receive and file the Public Works Department update report, and further that council review the attached request from Rod Simpson for the Northumberland Run Forest Run event taking place in the Northumberland County Forest on Sunday, June 9th, 2024, and further the council grant permission to the Northumberland Run Forest Run Committee to access the trails and crossings as listed in the request, which fall under the jurisdiction of the township of Elmacalda. Mover in a second, moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor O'Neill. Further discussion? Yes, Mike.
Just one thing through you, Mayor. Should they have us on as a third party liability, like the rider on their insurance? To be part of me? Yeah.
Yeah, the event, that's what. Sorry, through you, Mayor. That's what I mentioned with respect to, so it's a liability.
Yep.
8.5 by 11 statement or card that we would be listed as a co-insured.
Okay, perfect.
All in favor? Motion's carried. Next one is Parks, Recreation and Cultural Update Report. Be it resolved, the Council of Township of Almaco will receive and file the Parks, Recreation and Cultural Update Report for information. Jennifer, are you on today? Or Dave?
I am.
Okay. You have your report. You want to take us through your report?
I'm happy to answer any questions if council has any.
Okay. Any questions from council? I guess, okay, Mary Catherine, you have something?
Just that, and I'm pleased to hear that these are going to come in as quarterly reports. I know that's something I've been asking for, so thrilled to hear that's coming. And in those reports, you've got the revenue showing, but you don't have the expenses showing. So that will be my only comment.
Thank you, Mary Catherine. I had one comment kind of related to that too. I did a little bit of calculations and I recognize there is no costs. We do have the receipts, but we don't have the costs. But I took it just as a calculation, and if I use the arena, we're recovering about $83 per hour used. And if I combine all of the the community centers, we are getting about $16 per hour used. But it does not reflect the cost of how much that is. So I think we should be able to see in this report, and I don't know, Dave, who should be handling that, your treasurer or public or this group, but someone should be able to give us a cost per hour of how much it's costing us to keep those facilities open. And if we do it once every quarter, I'm happy with that too.
For you, Mayor Logal. Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I did do those 2023 year-end totals just so you could see total hours booked and total charges.
Yep.
So those are reports I can run through the system that I use to book facilities and charge users. Anything else, I think, yeah, it would be in a lot more detail and would require a report from finance.
Yep. Dave, can you look into that? Thank you. Mary Catherine? Oh, I'm sorry, I had Greg first.
To you, your worship, to Jennifer. Jennifer, when you say the total charges for the Haldeman Memorial Arena and Park, so is that including the ice and the ball diamonds and that?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mary Catherine?
I just want to reiterate how pleased I am to see that we're starting to get more data provided so that we can have our informed decisions. But it's wonderful that we're getting far more user information. So thank you.
Questions or comments? I'll reiterate what Mary Catherine just said too. It is nice to get lots of data because it's so much easier to make decisions when you know what the data that we have to look at. So I can concur and can continue to support any data that you can provide. I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Almaco receive and file the Parks, Recreation and Cultural Update Report for information. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councilor O'Neill, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? Motion's carried. The next one is reports from the library, public library meeting minutes of September 11th, and the public library meetings of October 16th, as well as the Ganaraska Regional Conservation Authority minutes of December 21st, 2023. Does anybody have any I'll read the resolution and then we'll see if there's any questions or comments. Be it resolved that the council of the township of Alma Calderman received the minutes for information. The public library meeting minutes of September 11th, public library meeting minutes of October 16th, and the Ganaraska Regional Conservation minutes of December 21st, 2023. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Are there any questions or comments regarding these three fitting minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of the reports?
Mayor Local.
Yes.
Sorry, Mayor. Sorry, through you, Mayor. I did have one here. I just wanted to ask Councillor Booth what it was his, when it came to the committees. Sorry, I can't find it here, but it was, oh yeah, so notifying the report Excel committees of council were frozen right now. What does that,
Sorry,
because we do have some committees that are going, so I just kind of wondered if that's should have been worded differently. That makes
just,
sense?
I couldn't hear you.
So it says, when on number 8, it said, that the, nothing said, so all committees of council were frozen for right now.
It was back in the fall. Remember when the CAO said that when it came to the Nawatin committee and things like that, that everything at that time was frozen? That we were looking at that. So it was mentioned to them that the Nawatin thing, and I think there was another one. It could have been the Roseneath revitalization, that they were all frozen until Dave had a chance to review everything and that. So it was just information for them, telling them
Yeah.
that.
So probably should have said new committees or something instead of, so it looks like all the committees are frozen.
I'll mention that to them. They should change it. It was any of the new ones with those two in specific.
Any other comments? All in favor of the reports? Motion is carried. The next one is the amended report. Be it resolved, the council of the township of Alma Calderman received a community alert from the Halliburton, Kawartha, Pine Ridge District Unit regarding the toxic drug supply suspected in the city of Belleville on February 6, 2024. And further, the council directs staff to post this alert on the township website and social media outlets. Mover and seconder. Deputy Mayor Stover. Councilor Ainsworth.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Yes.
Through your Mayor Local, do we have I say Narcan, but I think that is the
Naloxone.
no, thank you. I was gonna say that's the commercial name. Do we have naloxone on site here? If we run into problems with this issue?
Good question. I don't know. I know that our all of our fire people have it available. I know it's available to any member of the public. If they go to, or my understanding is that it's available to anybody in the public that wants to pick it up at the health unit. Dave, can you comment? Do we, the question is, naloxone, do we have it here in this building?
You don't have it here in this building. You have it in all of your fire apparatus. And all of your first responders are trained in the use of it.
Okay. That answer your question?
Through your Mayor Local, would it be possible to have it on site here just because of the Highway 2, the 401 or whatever with that coming through, because there is a certain timeline when it's needed.
For you, Mayor Logo. So my answer would be that I would look into the legalities of that for you. It is governed as one of the medical acts that we provide, that our first responders are trained in recognizing when it is to be used. The paramedics are definitely the best trained and qualified to have it readily available for just anyone to grab and administer to a person. I would be very cautious. I could be totally wrong, but I would be very cautious about administering anything to any person. Now, that is if it is something that we provide as a corporation. If somebody just happens to have it in their pocket and uses it, and might be covered by the Volunteerism Act or something of that nature, then that's different, and I'm not going to comment on that. But with respect to what the township can do and can provide, I'll look into it, get back to council.
Thank you.
Any other further questions or comments? All in favor? Motion carried. Next one, we have the new Grafton well construction update. Be it resolved, the council of the township of Balmacolin received a technical memorandum from Bruce Highcamp of GEO Kemp Limited dated January 23rd, 2024 regarding an update on the new Grafton well construction for information. So I get a mover and seconder, moved by Councillor Booth. A seconder, Councillor Ainsworth. Any questions or comments? I do have one question, Greg, and perhaps you can get back to the technical people. I was wondering, the other wells have had iron concentrations that are not, certainly not above the limit, but they are high. Do you know if there was any results taken from the samples to see if there was iron content?
You mean iron or ammonia?
Iron.
Ammonia was the one that they had trouble with.
Yeah, they had two problems. One was ammonia, the other one was iron.
I know at our last meeting, Bruce said that they had sent out a bunch of the samples and some of them that they were still waiting for some of the water testing to come back to confirm, but I'll ask him that at our next meeting and get back. But his report said that everything looked very well. The reports all coming back were good. It's capable of producing it. The ammonia was low, which was the big concern, but I'll get back to you about the iron.
Thank you. I know that a lot of people and the reason I'm asking, a lot of people in the village have added iron separators at their homes and if they don't need it anymore, we should let them know that that's not a requirement. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Mary Catherine?
In the report on page 75 of our agenda package, it just says the iron concentrations were also lower at PW number 3.
Good.
It doesn't say specifically a number for you, Mayor, but it does say that it's lower.
Well, if you could just get that, Greg, I'd be happy. Thank you very much.
Yep,
and thank
no
you for
problem.
Pointing that out, Mary Catherine. Any further questions or comments? All in favor of this report? Motion's carried. The next one is the resolution, or the title is Rural Economic Development RED Program. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Balmacolin received a correspondence from the Minister of Agricultural, Food and Rural Affairs dated January 22nd, 2024 regarding the Rural Economic Development RED Program. And further council direction is required. What, this one discussion? Okay. Go
I'll
ahead.
just make a motion to receive and file. Unless somebody wants to do to get back with comments on it to her.
Perhaps I overstepped my bounds, but I was suggesting that we apply for this grant and that we consider either the ACC or window and door upgrades or the Watton bridges for possibility to the RED program, and I'd also ask that we consider the Trillium Fund for one of those projects as well. There you go.
Okay, so I may be misunderstanding what's in front of us. I believe it's asking for feedback, and I thought it'll open on what those 3 questions are that they're looking for feedback on. The first one is, what is the most pressing economic obstacle or opportunity in your community or across rural Ontario? Why? Number 2, how can communities and government work together to improve local economies or better support local businesses? And number 3, what changes has your community experienced in the last few years that have presented new opportunities for economic growth? And how can the province help you take advantage of those opportunities?
Okay.
So we're ahead of the game.
Yeah, and I,
Too specific. then. Well, what's your thoughts, council? First of all, are we completing the survey? That's what they're asking for. Right? Go ahead, Mary Catherine.
as I read those 3 questions, I mean, I don't think we've had the discussions on those things to be able to give a good answer. And I don't believe we've got a staff member who's specifically been looking at rural economic development. I know that the county definitely has had people looking at this and they would be in a position to answer. But I'm not sure we have, unless council really wants to dig into these questions at this moment, but I'm not sure that we have that to be able to answer in the timeline requested.
This is Dave.
February 21st.
Dave, do you have any comments?
My only comment would be that I agree with Councillor O'Neill that we definitely need a position if we're gonna go after grants and look after this stuff. I know that Jennifer Steen is already completing a grant application for the ACC for the purpose that you mentioned, Mayor. That I believe was through the Trillium Fund. But we can definitely look at others there. But I'll discuss more of that with council later.
I know for the RED program, I'm pretty sure that the Wicklow Church was covered under the RED program grant. I'm pretty sure the arena was did the Trillium one, and that one was done by RED. But what do you want to do? Go ahead, Mary Beth, or sorry.
Through your Mayor Lobo, is this something that Jen's our events coordinator, Jen, could fill out the survey? Is that something, I guess I'm asking Mr. CAO?
That's right.
I think we're mixing 2 of them up. The RED is separate from the one that Mary Catherine mentioned. The one from Mary Catherine is correspondence from David Pacini asking those questions. The RED rural economic one is asking consultation to inform the creation of a rural economic development strategy. That's the one we're talking about now. The one
That's the one that I've,
Yeah,
from
that's the one I
Lisa
talked about.
Thompson.
No, Lisa Thompson's, David Pacini's, which is the next one. Which is talking
No.
about.
No,
grants.
we're on 12-3, Councillor Booth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It
It
is from
is.
Lisa Thompson. I followed the link that says online web page, which led to the consultation, which is where those 3 questions are.
and
I d-
those 3 questions, I believe, are from Caitlin Steele.
No,
They are the three questions online. Sorry, through you, Mayor.
Yep.
So basically, all this correspondence is doing is asking council's feedback on rural economic development. They want to know, they want to work together with rural, rural communities. They want feedback from council members on, ideas. They just want to try to get a strategy together to try to fund future rural economic development. So,
This is the 13-1, or pardon me, 12-3 from Lisa Thompson,
yes,
correct?
yes,
12-3.
yes.
And, okay, thank you, Yolanda. I think.
That's what I was
Joan-
talking about.
Joan, you asked the question of the CAO. we
Yes,
didn't respond
is,
to
is there anyone here that could fill this out? And I'm talking about the 12.3. Would it be a good idea for us to fill that out?
Mayor, you're referring to the survey?
Yes, from
So-
Lisa.
If you would make a motion for us to do that, we will find somebody to do that. We don't have anybody in an assigned position to look after this stuff. But we could try.
I could make that motion, Mayor Logue.
Is there a seconder for that?
I haven't seconded that.
Seconded by Mike. All in favor?
Oh, I have a comment.
Oh, okay.
I do not support that we ask staff to do this. This is a big ask about what our position is on rural economic policy. We've never had that discussion. We'd be asking staff who it is not their area of expertise to essentially make up things on behalf of our municipality because we've not had the in-depth discussion. So I cannot support responding at this time because I don't know what our position is to respond.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Through you, Mayor. This has to be done by the 21st of February, right?
My understanding
No,
That's what they're
is-
asking for.
Yes.
So we should at least have something on the go here, so we don't kind of lose out on anything, like just ignoring it and not doing anything. We talked about this at Roma, that this red was coming down. And here it is in front of us, so I mean, we should be maybe taking some time and try to put something together.
I would, in my opinion, if I can, Mary Catherine, I would suggest that we do get a hold of our economic development director from the county and ask him to provide some information, and we can send that directly to Lisa. Say this is what the county's doing and we're part of the county.
I would be comfortable with
Yeah,
that.
I would amend that to do that.
You're wanting to amend your.
Yes, just to include what you had
Are
said.
you okay with that, Mike?
And what's that amendment gonna be?
Pardon
Again,
me?
or what's the amendment? How's it gonna read again?
The amendment is going to read that the council staff contact the director of economic development for the county and ask him for his response.
Okay. And that will cover us for anything that we might want to put into it for ourselves?
They're not asking for any.
Specifics, no, that's coming in the next.
They're not asking for any grants or nothing. They want to know what economic development things that they should be looking at. And the county should be able to give them that information.
And that would cover that.
Is you okay with that,
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor as amended? Motion's carried. Then we have the letter from correspondence regarding the Infrastructure Ontario Loan Program. Be it resolved, the Council of Township of Allen Cullivan received a correspondence from the office of David Pacini dated January 29th, 2024. Regarding a request to complete a questionnaire to provide information for the development of options to be considered under the Infrastructure Ontario Loan Program, supporting municipalities and their housing enabling water infrastructure projects, and further the council directs staff to complete and submit the targeted questionnaire from the Ministry of Infrastructure by February 2024. Can I get a mover and a seconder, then we'll discuss. Moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor, or pardon me, Deputy Mayor Stover. Discussion? Mary Catherine?
I do feel that we have the information necessary to complete this within our staff, and I would like to see it completed.
Thank you. Further comments? Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
So it has to be done by Thursday then, right? Saying February the 15th. These questions look like they could be a simple answer from the treasurer. They're talking about borrowing and capital investment things and things like that, but
Am I correct in thinking that this had to do with housing starts that we would be up and running by the September the 1st, I believe? This year. They want to lend money for people that are pardon me, people, that's the wrong word. Municipalities that have plans to be in operation of new homes that require additional water services.
Mayor Logo, I believe the terminology used was projects that were going to be breaking ground in 2024. And I
Okay.
believe the conclusion is that we did not have any.
Yep.
And therefore there was no point. Or we couldn't provide detail. That was the information that came back from David Eugene's office.
Okay.
So I would suggest that Dave, we respond there and say that we have no plans to be in infrastructure by then.
I believe that we did.
Oh, we did that?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Any other further comments? Or Mary Catherine, you had your hand up?
No, that just covered my comment.
Further discussion, questions by anybody? All in favor? Motion's carried. Correspondence regarding the Community Safety and Policing Act 2019. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Allen will receive the correspondence from the Municipal Policing Bureau regarding the official date on which the Community Safety and Policing Act 2019 CSPA will come into force, and further that the deputy clerk be directed to forward the information to the treasurers as it contains information regarding the OPP 2024 annual billing statements. Can I get a mover and a seconder? You want to take a 2-minute break? I can't really call a vote until he's back. Any questions or comments on this? I do have one comment. I appreciate the opportunity for council to consider this. I'm wondering whether it really has to have the permission from council to send the direction to the deputy clerk to the treasurer for this information. That's basically what we're asking. Further, that the deputy clerk be directed to forward this information to the treasurer as it contains information regarding the OPP 2024 annual billing statement. I don't think that portion has to come to council. Should just flow. I agree.
So in reviewing this, it does say that legislation is changing, of course. This information was already provided to our treasurer as it was directed to them as well. So our treasurer is aware of the billing. I just added that information just to let you know that that's something that will happen. If you want to take it out of the resolution, that is perfectly fine as well. And I do know from being in contact with our OPP representative that the agreement that we had with OPP this year, which is still in effect, it will be in effect until they provide us with a newly updated agreement based on this new legislation.
My point was, the way it would indicate is that we're slowing the process down. I don't think we have to slow the process down for that. That's my opinion. Anybody else have any comments on that?
To your mayor logo could just be getting it to the next step. Or,
It's all,
Yeah.
it's already there.
yeah,
We don't have to.
and they maybe just want
That's-
us to
that's my
gold
opinion.
seal.
In my opinion, that's a, council doesn't have to be involved in the day-to-day operations of that. Anybody else have any further comments? So are we suggesting that we take an oath?
Receiving.
Are you just suggesting it be received for information? Is that what you're hoping for? I can support that to say we're
Mhm.
receiving for information.
And with that, take a note.
Replaced by receiving for information.
Okay. Okay. Instead of having that paragraph and then receive for information, I can go with that. Dave, do you have a comment? Okay, stretching. We gotta move in a second.
Yeah.
Mover and a seconder. Moved by Mary Catherine, seconded by Councillor or Deputy Mayor Stover, all in favor? Motion's carried. The next one is 12-6. Be resolved, the council of the township of Almacullen received the correspondence from the Ontario Provincial Police regarding the readiness for the new generation 911 transition, and further that the deputy clerk be directed to contact the Ontario Provincial Police Communications and Technical Service Bureau and confirm compliance of the requirements to transition to the new generation 911 network by March 4th, 2025. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. The next one is regarding newsletters and media releases. Be it resolved, the council of the township of Almacullen received the following correspondence for information. HKPR Health Unit Monthly Campaign Dashboard for February 2024. The Federation of Ontario Cottage Association FOCA Alert January 2024, and Northumberland County Media Release Free Expert Coaching to help local businesses. If I can move her and second her. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any comments, discussions? I did note, just a off the base comment, but I did note that they mentioned short-term a little bit in there, and I did hear this morning, just for your information, Muskoka is coming up with a new bill, with new legislation for their STRs, and they put some restrictions on, just so we hear this all the time. They are saying between the days of Victoria Day and Labor Day, you will have to have a license, of course, to have an STR, but the maximum, the minimum time you can rent is for 1 full week. And you couldn't rent it for more than half of the days in each month. So person could not, or a rental would not be allowed in the same building for any more than basically 2 weeks in any month. Different stuff. Anybody got any further questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. The next one is correspondence regarding the terms of reference. Be it resolved, the council of the township of Almacullen received the terms of reference document from the Northumberland Intermunicipal Task Force on Housing and Homelessness for information. Mover and seconder, moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor Booth. Discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next one is the Town of Coburg Agreement with Northumberland County and Transition House Shelter -310 Division Street Support Request. Whereas the Council of the Township of Allenwood Calderman considered the resolution from the Town of Coburg regarding their request for support in the Town of Coburg establishing an agreement with the County of Northumberland and Transition House to address the management of 310 Division Coburg within the community. Be it resolved, the council hereby provides its support to the Town of Coburg in this endeavor, and further be it resolved that the council direct the deputy clerk to send a copy of the resolution to the clerk at the County of Northumberland, MPP David Persini, Ministry of Labor, Immigration and Training and Skills Department, and all municipalities within Northumberland County. Can I get moved by Councillor Booth? Seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? Councillor Booth, you have the first, if you maybe.
I just wanted to say I support this. Is basically what the town of Coburg's asking is they're trying to come up with an agreement, like Whitby has, that there's certain, if you're going to belong to the transition house, there's certain rules and that for the people that are living there, and I agree with it wholeheartedly to support them.
To you, Mayor. Yes, I also agree, but I just want to ask a question and maybe some direction. Is through all this stuff with the drug abuse and stuff that's going on in our county, is there anyone that we could come down and kind of give us an update of what's going on? What are they doing about it? Are we winning? Are we losing?
Yes. What would you, there's several people that could probably come comment on. We could have community and social services from the county. And
Sorry.
HKPR.
Hello, may I interject just a minute? I think that we have to be very, very careful when talking about 310 Division housing, affordable housing, shelters, and mixing that terminology with drug use. We really not bridge that gap. We need to make sure that the conversation with respect to housing, shelter, affordable housing is separate than our conversations with respect to drug use, just for implication purposes. Sorry.
Go ahead, Mike.
Not to you, Mayor. The only reason I asked is because they're talking about themselves, really. They comment on it. So I just wondered if there was any kind of an update.
Barry Gottlieb.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the most recent housing and homelessness meeting, but we did address this at the previous meeting to that. And this is definitely that overlap where who is responsible for what, and Coburg doesn't want to end up with pieces that aren't accounted for. So I do agree that an agreement clarifying some of this is a good idea. But one of the main asks for the housing and homelessness, and I believe it's moving forward, so I wasn't at the last meeting, so I don't have confirmation, but I believe that it's moving forward, that how we went to the open house last year at the Egg Center there in Colborne, that they would be a somewhat similar event, but focused on some of the issues you were addressing there about what is the county doing on these files? Who is responsible for which pieces? Because that was something that was being asked from multiple municipalities, and having heard that, the county said, we're going to take this back and see what makes the most sense. And as far as I know, that's what they decided was the most sense, but I do know they're looking into that exact item.
Carry on a little bit. I'm not sure what you're talking exactly about, but I did attend a meeting held at the Coburg at the Legion last night, put on by, I think this is what you're referring to. Put
No,
on-
it's for county councillors to be trained
Okay,
about what the county does on those files. But yeah, that, I'm glad you went last night.
yeah, I went last night and the county had a booth and probably Coburg had a booth and there was probably 6 or 7 other booths there that had displays on, very similar to what we saw in, at the food center in Grammy. And I can't name them all, but the barn was there, the,
Health
transition
and Legal
house,
Center.
the hospital, the metal wing of the hospital, there was probably 10 services that came along with that. I got there at 6 o'clock, there was probably 75 people in there at the time, and it probably got to another, you know, they were coming in and out, so I left at 20 after 7, there was different people there, but there was still almost that many, so it's quite a few people interested. I was surprised, there was a lot of people from Allen and Calderman Township there, which was good to see. To respond to your question, Mike, I think it's a good idea to bring in somebody from, who knows an awful lot more about what's going on than anybody here, and I'm sure the community, pardon me, the county would be willing to send some talk about that.
Through your mayor, Councillor Ainsworth, I think I know the specific of what you're asking now. Your question was pertaining to the prohibition of drugs. Is that correct as to the terminology within the letter?
Yeah, it kind of talks about it on the further that council also directs staff to include the report back. So it talks about the prohibition of consuming illegal drugs in public places and loitering in public places.
So through your mayor, some of the specifics, because we have discussed this at the chief's table. Some of the specifics with respect to prohibition of drug use is because 310 division and because of the existing shelters, the reason why the encampment was originally set up is because the county and or the town, with respect to the shelters, do not allow drugs in the building at all, period. You can't even have them on your person. So that, I believe, was the reference and why they're trying to do more research with respect to that. Because those that have chosen to live at the Brookside property is a large part to do with these rules and regulations governing the shelters. And so when they're looking at expanding and having incorporating a bigger building that is going to have a significant number of more rooms, that I believe that they're wanting to ensure that their practices meet best practices.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
what it's for.
and that's kind of what I'm saying. If through all that and the pressure for all that, you know, it'd be nice to have an update to see where we are with everything. Because I mean, you know, not just our municipality, but, you know, we all use the town of Coburg, so, you know, we, as a county residents, we'd like to know, are we winning? Just for all residents involved.
I think, Dave, you bring up a good point. This is, the resolution here is very general. And the request from Coburg was a lot more specific, and myself, I don't know if we should get into the weeds too much on that. As far as, working with the, county, working with the town of Coburg, similar to what Durham and, Whitby did, I think it's a good idea. We should
Yeah.
encourage that. I also think Mike's got a great idea that if we're gonna be getting involved in this at all, we should bring in some of the people that do that on a regular basis and ask for a 10 or 15-minute presentation.
Absolutely.
I just want to reiterate that that is exactly what that housing and homelessness group is looking at, is where is that overlap between the lower tier and the upper tier municipalities? And that has been identified and it is in the process of being addressed. And as I say, I believe we are going to receive an invitation. I will confirm and get back to you on that.
Anybody else have any further comments or direction from the staff?
You know, just that, you know, support this and I think the town of Philbrook deserves the chance to have the input on this.
And you don't want to ask for some people to come?
Yes.
What's going on?
Yes, I still would like to request that we have, someone come down and do a presentation and update us on how things are going.
Okay.
Or what their,
What their intention plans are?
yeah, and what their, biggest roadblocks are.
Or there's some of the people that can answer those questions. Mary Catherine?
I'd prefer we deal with the motion as is in front of us and then make a request for information to follow up with what Councillor Ainsworth is saying.
We got to move in a second.
Sorry, through you, Mayor, we do have Councillor Booth moving it and Councillor Ainsworth seconded the original motion that was on the floor.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the original motion? All in favor? Motion's carried. You have something else that you want to add to, Mike?
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we have staff invite someone in the county to come down and give us a presentation on the how the homelessness is going in town.
Okay.
And if they're, just educate us on it.
Mary Catherine?
If I could just modify that slightly, if you would be okay with that, Councillor Ainsworth, to see if we will have an opportunity rather than saying specifically being invited here, but rather to follow up on what opportunity our council will have. And then that way it leaves it open whether we're going there or they're coming here.
I thought we were going to ask someone to come here.
Yeah,
If they're already, as my understanding is, if they are already working on something where they're going to invite us in for this exact kind of discussion, it kind of becomes counterproductive to say, no, you come here. So I just wanted to leave it a little more open-ended that we would request that the CAO contact the county and determine that our council will be given an opportunity to learn more. And then that's a little less specific about when and the details.
You're okay with, doesn't matter when they come?
no, that's fine.
Do we have a seconder for that?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilor Neal. Basically, it's to direct staff to bring us direct staff to investigate and see when we can attend something for an update on encampments / in the town of Philbrook. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Resolution of support to request province to expand the lifespan of fire apparatuses. Whereas the Council of the Township of Alma-Culloden considered the resolution from the County of Prince Edward regarding support to request the province to expand the lifespan of fire apparatuses specifically pertaining to the replacement of fire trucks due to insurance requirements. Be it resolved, the council hereby provided support, and further be it resolved that the council direct the deputy clerk to send a copy of this resolution to MPP Pacini, Minister of Labor and Immigration, Training and Skills Development, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and all Ontario municipalities. Can I get a mover in a second? Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? Councillor Booth?
Yeah, I think this is a good idea. This has come up numerous times at council. And I think it's advantageous for us to support something like this, to look into the possibility of extending the life of some of the equipment that we have, as long as it's in good condition and not just go by an age.
Councillor Ainsworth?
Through you, Mayor. No, I agree 100%. It is a big cost to us all the time, and although we want to make sure everything's safe and everything's running in good running condition, At the same time, I would like to see those dates extended.
Councillor O'Neill.
I have two comments. One, we're asking an agency or a business, which is the insurance business, to take on a greater risk. I don't know if they'll be very willing or whether that'll end up being thrown back and saying, well, if the province wants a bigger risk, then you guys are going to fund it, not us. So I think I'm curious about who would end up funding this, but I'm also curious as to what our fire chief's view is on this.
Any other comments from council? Dave, you've been requested.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill, for that invite to the stage. Through you, Mayor Logo. I have read the resolution from the council of Prince Edward County. There's not enough information there for me. We're looking at extending the age of the apparatus. Okay, so what, where, why, how? I get that maybe it's just preliminary and yeah, absolutely financially. If I was sitting in council seat, I would want to know if we could extend it as well. Or, you know, are we considering looking at the first run apparatus and moving it from 15 to 20? Great. Does it affect anything? No, not in our plan. But are they looking at extending the age of the apparatus from 20 years to 30? I think you're probably going to end up with some concerns there, but there's no harm in asking. And again, if I was in your position, I would do the same as Councillor Booth and Councillor Ainsworth, and I would support it and move forward and see what the information is that comes back.
Thank you, Dave. Go ahead, Councillor Stover, or Deputy Mayor Stover. I'm sorry.
The only concern I would have with this is risk to the firefighters. And I'm not prepared to take that risk. And so that's just my comment here. I could follow something like this in through to the police department as well. When it goes to their equipment, I'm not prepared to put anybody at risk. So that would be my comment as for this particular memo or letter.
Councillor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor. So I would assume that all these apparatuses would still have to go through testing. And if they pass the test, then they would probably still be okay. So in saying that, it's not just to say that it's 20 years and out. It's if it's passing all the tests that it has to go through, then it's still good. I think that would be all part of it. Still,
I'm pretty sure that.
They'd have to
that
test the
nobody's
pumps and-
suggesting that they send out unsafe mechanically or any other
yeah,
thing that they're saying.
yes.
Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
No, I agree with what Councillor Ainsworth was saying. It's not that we're asking them to send out unsafe equipment. We're just asking them to take a look at it, as Dave said, to maybe there is a possibility that it doesn't just have to be graded by age to say 20 years and then this is it. If you've kept your equipment in good condition and it's up to date and the pump and everything meets specs in that, then I would think that that might be, you know, viable, that it could continue on. So I think like Dave said, it's a start. I'm sure they're not just going to pass something to say, okay, these are the dates and there's no rules to it. I'm sure they'll come out with everything that'll say there's certain criteria that you have to meet, but I think it's a start.
Further discussion? All in favor? Carried. The next one is a resolution from the provincial national firefighting strategy. Whereas the council of the township of Alma-Calderman considered the resolution from the municipality of Kelvin regarding a request for a provincial national firefighting strategy. Be it resolved, the council hereby provides its support And further be it resolved, the council direct the deputy clerk to send a copy of the resolution to the Prime Minister of Canada, the Minister of National Resort Defense, the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry of Ontario, the Minister of Economic Development, Ontario, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all Ontario municipalities. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Discussion. Yes,
This was quite the entertaining read, the way it's written up here, but when you get to the meat of what they're asking here, it is that when we're looking at forest fires, which are increasingly problematic for different communities, and it could be our community at some point, that we do need to look at this as a national strategy and not be leaving it to lower tier municipalities.
thank you. Further comments? Councillor Ainsworth?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. No, I'd just like to challenge our province on this because this is ongoing every year. And it's crazy that we don't take the money that we have and try to keep our own province safe. You know, instead of sending it abroad. But no, I definitely will support this.
You. Further comments? All in favor? Motion's carried. The next one is 12.2, resolution of support from various municipalities, whereas council has previously considered similar requests for support of resolutions from various municipalities. Be it resolved, the following resolutions be received for information. Provincial Cemetery Management Support Request from the municipality of Kelvin. Support Bill C-310 to amend income tax regarding volunteer firefighters tax credit, Township of Otonabee, South Monaghan, Township of Ryerson, and Township of Tay. Opposition to Bill 3, Strong Mayors Building Homes Act, Township of Otonabee, South Monaghan, City of Pickering. Intimate Partner Violence, Orangeville Police Services Board. There's quite a bit there. Anybody want to segregate anything out specifically? Councillor Booth.
This says receive for information. So are we saying, Deputy Clerk, that we've already sent support for these ones? I think we did for the firefighter tax credit. I don't recall anything in the past sending about the cemetery management.
Yeah, through the mayor. These are resolutions received from all of these municipalities. We have supported all of these resolutions in the past.
Okay, so then I'd make the motion then to receive and file if we've already sent.
Can we amend this slightly to say that council has already had an opportunity and has given their approval?
Yeah. That's why I just wanted, it says previously considered.
Yeah, we've already passed them all, haven't we?
That's what she's saying, yeah.
Yes,
It's already passed, so let's.
yes, they've all been previously considered for support.
And support.
Yes.
Okay, can we switch that to say we've supported them all?
It says. It does say that.
It doesn't say that, no, can we say that?
No, it does say
It
that.
does say that.
Considered similar requests for support.
And,
We have
and we have
considered.
given that request. And we have supported. That's
Yes.
what I'm saying.
But this is previously considered.
And yeah, that's true, but just
Or
as an
support.
example, we could have had intimate partners that somebody submitted it again and we decided not to. So it should say that we have all supported all of these.
That's fine. Just add a line
And
that
But-
says that
but
we
the
have
inti-
supported all of them.
Sorry, through you, Mayor, the intimate partner violence. We've considered that resolution for support in the past, but we never sent a resolution of support for that particular resolution. So the intimate partner one, we've considered these things in the past. So you have sent support on cemetery management, on the income tax, volunteer firefighters tax credit, the opposition to Bill 3 Strong Mayors. However, the intimate partner violence, you have considered a resolution similar to that in the past, which you did not support.
We did not support.
No.
Okay, so then we better. Well, okay,
But like I said, these are resolutions that have come forward before where you have dealt with them.
I'm surprised that this council did not support the intimate violent partner violence.
You received and filed a similar support request.
Okay. I'm disappointed that we did not pass the intimate violent partner violence. We just received and filed. I think we made it. I'd like to bring that back to council for reconsideration.
Or, sorry, through you, Mayor, instead of reconsidering that, you could maybe forward a letter of support or a resolution supporting that particular resolution coming forward now.
So then I'm gonna reread the resolution, whereas council has previously supported requests for resolutions from the various municipalities for the first 1, 2, 3, and that we make it include in that resolution a reconsideration. I don't think we have to put reconsideration. We just say we want to support the intimate violent partner violence one. Councillor Booth?
I think there might be an issue with that because the deputy clerk will have to look it up. If we actually voted on that, then I don't think you can have a motion like that just to reconsider it, right? You're going to have to look it up, Yolanda, to see if we actually voted on that. I remember there was a discussion on it. I don't know whether we voted on it not to or whatever, but so if we could defer the last one to come back to the next meeting, then we can discuss it, but
Yes, through you, Mayor, I can definitely look at that. Thank you.
I would make the comment, if we turned it down, we can still bring it back to reconsider.
yeah,
don't
but
have to
there's
wait
certain
for-
rules to bring back though that have to be met.
Yes, and council can make that rule.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say again that I think that should be supported.
Yeah.
And if you're saying it's not supportable, then that's fine.
I think we received and filed it.
Deputy Mayor? Would you?
I would.
I would like to make the motion that the ultimate partner issue be approved by this council.
If I could just interject for a moment. As per our procedural bylaw, a motion to reconsider something that's previously been decided upon. According to our procedural bylaw, it does say that council may not reconsider a decision for a period of 1 year following the decision. Unfortunately.
Can I get a seconder for the motion?
How would I say that? Could I just interject for a second here? Madam Deputy Clerk, what would you suggest in this particular situation, that it come back at the next council meeting and be acted on at that time to see what we did at that time?
Yes, I would like to have some time to actually look back on some of the information that we have looked at. And moving forward, this is the same subject matter, yes, that was voted on previously. However, it is not the same piece of correspondence. This is from a different municipality with a different resolution. However, they are supporting it. So if I could just ask council for some time to go back and look at some of those considerations. And I will come back with you with an answer for sure.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Counselor O'Neill, do you have
I'm-
anything to add?
I'm just looking through our procedural bylaw and I don't know if that's where I would find it or just in our best practices. But this item should have gone to the clerk before this meeting so that this answer could have been provided at the meeting. So I think it's incumbent upon us when we have questions to make sure we're sending them in.
Thank you. Counselor Booth, go ahead.
I'm not saying I disagree with the motion. What I'm saying is let's just research it. If we voted on it before, and I'm not sure whether we did vote on it. I don't think it might have just been somebody just say, make a motion to receive and file. And I have no problem with it. I just think it's right to give the deputy clerk till the next meeting. I'm sure it can wait one meeting. That if we didn't vote on it, then let's bring it up again and we'll go ahead and we're not breaking any bylaws, right?
Thank you. Any other comments? Mayor Lobo?
I will rescind the motion. Rescind the original motion, but make the motion that the staff bring back a report telling us exactly when this was considered the first time and what the results of that consideration was taken.
Thank you. Did we have Counselor O'Neill, are you able to second that?
Oh, sorry, I just found the reference
I'll
here and I
second
was
it.
going to point it out.
Thank you. Counselor Booth will second that.
Sorry, just one moment. So the original motion that was on to accept everything and move forward. We are no longer looking at that motion. That motion has been rescinded.
Or has it been amended?
The motion was on the floor originally, but there was no mover and seconder, so that motion is now no longer being considered. We are now looking at bringing a report back to see what the considerations were in the past.
Okay. Do we need a motion to that?
Am I
effect?
correct? Yes,
Yes.
Mayor Logal did make that motion.
And do we have a seconder for that? Counselor Booth?
That was the one to research and come
Yes,
back to
and
us, right?
bring information
Yes.
back.
On the number 4, the intimate partner one.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the number 4, to segregate that one out for reconsideration.
Okay.
All in favor? Carried. Oh, one moment. Counselor O'Neill, did you have another comment?
I did find it in our procedural bylaw. It is 10(3) subsection 1. Members of council will be governed by the following rules respecting questions relative to communications. Council members are strongly encouraged to contact the CAO or the appropriate department head prior to the meeting to ask questions or clarify issues relevant to the matter and obtain background information. So I just want to make sure we're following our own protocols here.
Thank you.
And I would have done that had it been written the way I thought it was written.
Counselor
We'll have to
Booth?
clarify that, I guess.
So I'd like to make a motion that the other 3 that we receive and file as information, since we have, according to the deputy clerk, the first 3 we have sent support for already.
Do I have a seconder for that, or do we need one? Or has that, okay. Have a seconder for that, Counselor Ainsworth? All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Okay.
The next item is 1213 AMO events, training opportunities for council. Whereas the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO provides educational opportunities to support members of council. We resolve that Council of Township of Ballincollig receive the AMO events correspondence regarding AMO councillor training 1-1 and municipal codes of conduct essential for good governance, and further that council direction is required. Councillor Booth.
Make a motion that we receive and file.
Councillor Ainsworth.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any comments? Go ahead, Mary Catherine.
I'm picking up the good governance, as I'm sure no one's surprised. I know that we never got our initial training for that because of that large snowstorm. I know that it was provided to the township, the recording for that, and we were going to get together. This is a discussion from almost a year ago now. Whether we want to bring that back or look at another mechanism for a discussion on our governance. But I'm just putting that out there that while I am in concurrence with what is being asked in this motion, to keep that in the back of our heads, that that training is out there, and I think our council would benefit from it, and we already have it in our possession.
Any other comments? Go ahead.
Through your Mayor Local, I concur with Councillor O'Neill. And also I find a full day is hard sometimes, but I do appreciate them doing like, this is a 2-hour or a 4-hour session. When you have to, the other one is 9 to 5, that makes it difficult. So I would like to access this good governance, however we do it, whether we come in as a training or if we're able to do it individually.
Okay.
Through you, Mayor. So I have been in contact with AMO and asked that specific question because I did notice that for the first set of training, there is a fee for the 1-day workshop for the all day. And they had indicated that it is each individual council member that must register for these events. So for the 2-hour event, it is a virtual event, but it is no charge. And there is a registration link on that piece of correspondence as well. If council members do wish to register for this event, it's being held on February 28th, 9 to 11 in the morning. And if you could please just contact the clerk's department and I can pre-register you.
So what is council, one of the council is to receive and file, I believe is the motion. I guess if anybody wants to carry it further through, that they have the opportunity to do that. I expect that would come out of their council training figures.
The one is free.
Correct? All in favor? Motion's carried.
Mayor Logo, excuse me for a moment. I'm just wondering, just wanting to follow up or add to what Councillor O'Neill is saying. Would it be prudent for a training session with council on this particular model if we have it on site here? I don't know what shape I'll be in that day, or I would be signing up for it.
Are you going to request it? Are you asking for staff to include that in the budget?
Well, I believe we already have the module. I'm not sure where it is.
The motion, is that the one that some people couldn't take?
So Mayor Logal, that was when that big storm came through and there was no hydro out here at all. And so they did go ahead with the training session. And I was on for the first hour before my phone died and I couldn't stay for the remainder of it. But it was a very worthwhile first hour. Had to laugh at our neighbors in Crammy because they were all in the building together, gathered around one device in their coats in the cold. They were troopers. But anyway, I couldn't have even left my house that day just due to the storm that was going through. Anyway, I know that Pat Kemp did request it and it is somewhere here, but we've never chosen a time to do that. And I think we could choose a time to do that, but let's get through budget, but put that on our thinking cap for once we're through budget.
Through you, Mayor. Sorry, Councillor O'Neill. What module are you referring to? Is it actual council training from AMO?
It was from AMO. It was done for all the municipalities in Northumberland County when we were new councilors.
Okay, so that module might not be available because this is a newer module and it
That
does
they
come at a
provided the
cost.
recording, which I think is somewhat more beneficial than this one because it was specifically about Northumberland County.
Okay,
And other municipalities had at least partial attendance at it. So the questions, I think, would be more specific to Northumberland County rather than taking a provincial thing. That would be my reasoning why I think it would be worthwhile if we can find that.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor that the council of the Township of Alma-Cullivan receive the January 18th, 25th, and February 1st, 2024 AM newsletter for information. I'm calling for a vote. We've got a mover in a second, all in favor.
No, we don't. Have we
don't?
voted on 12-13?
I thought great.
Yes, I did make the motion and I believe,
I thought, okay, I'm pretty sure he made one for, but if you haven't got it recorded, it doesn't matter.
That was for 12-13, Mayor Logo.
Okay. I'll read the resolution. That the council of the Township of Alma-Cullivan receive the January 18th, 25th, and February 1st, 2024 AMO newsletter for information. Did I get a
Sorry.
mover in a second? Moved by
Have
Councilor
we-
Booth,
Sorry, did we vote on 12-13, clerk?
yes, through the mayor we'd have.
Okay, thank you, and then we're fine.
been moved by Councilor Booth, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Well, I am assuming 15. Just did 12, 14. I do. 12-15. AMO policy update 2024 pre-budget submission of letters of support. Whereas the council of the Township of Alma-Cullivan received the letters from the Township of Hanover and Orangeville supporting the province commitment to the undertaking of a social and economic prosperity review. And whereas current provincial municipal fiscal arrangements are undermining Ontario's economic prosperity and quality of life. And whereas nearly a third of municipal spending in Ontario is for services in areas of provincial responsibility, and the expenditures are outpacing provincial contributions by nearly 4 billion a year. And whereas municipal revenues such as property taxes do not grow with the economy or inflation, and whereas unprecedented population and housing growth will require significant investments in municipal infrastructure, and whereas municipalities are being asked to take on complex health and social challenges like homelessness, supporting asylum seekers and addressing the mental health and addictions crisis. And whereas inflation, rising interest rates and provincial policy decisions are sharply constraining municipal fiscal capacity. And whereas property taxpayers, including people on fixed incomes and small businesses, can't afford to subsidize income-related redistribution programs for those in need. And whereas the province can and should invest more in the prosperity of communities, and whereas municipalities and the provincial government have a strong history of collaboration. Therefore, be it resolved, the province of Ontario commit to undertaking with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario a comprehensive social and economic prosperity review to promote the stability and sustainability of municipal finances across Ontario. And further be it resolved, the council direct the deputy clerk to send a copy of this resolution to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Premier Doug Ford, the MPP Dave Puccini, Minister of Labor, Immigration, Training and Skills Development, and all Ontario municipalities. Can I get a mover in a second? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. The next one, 1216 Roma, fill the gaps closer to home, news release and backgrounder. Be resolved, the Council of Township of Allen Cullinan received the Roma closer to home media release from Roma dated January 25th, 2024. Further, the council directs staff to post the media release on the township website and social media outlets. Can I get a mover to seconder? Moved by Mary Catherine, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Announcements. And notices of motion. And who's to start off today? Councillor Ainsworth,
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Councillor Mary Catherine. Councillor, I expect it's Booth.
Nothing at this time.
I don't really have an announcement, but I was noticing, and I'm not sure, maybe I should have a notice of motion, but I'll mention it, see what council says. When I was reviewing all the minutes, pardon me, all of the committee, not committee, the department reports, I came to realize that the fire department doesn't have a report. And I started thinking back about what we used to see, and we used to see a breakdown of all the calls for whatever they were, whether they were fire, whether they were for there was probably 20 different categories, which is probably too much. But I think we need to have that included in a quarterly or monthly report, whatever that is. And I don't know who did it, whether that's not up to me, but I think we need to have that information. Dave, or go ahead, Greg.
And we had also mentioned about how valuable it would have on that report when we talked about that the fire department went out to the schools or that. So to have, if it's a quarterly one or if it's monthly, to just say, we visited 2-3 schools for a training thing. And I would like to even see in there about if they're talking about the commercial things, how many commercial inspections or that were completed, in that time frame or whatever, just an update of how things are going in the department. Because we weren't aware, or I wasn't aware of the fire department going out to the schools on a regular basis and things like that. So I think it's nice for us to see that we're getting the value for the dollar, right?
Thank you. Dave, you have a comment?
Not at this time.
Not this time? Okay. So I can bring a motion back, notice of motion back to the next meeting, and I'll go from there. Mary Catherine?
I'm not sure if we've had the quarterly health reports already mentioned, so I see some overlap between your request and the direction of our acting CAO. So maybe we want to make sure that your notice of motion and his direction are aligning.
With help.
You're asking for reports from departments. Earlier in this meeting, our acting CAO mentioned that he has a plan for quarterly health reports, is how he worded it, from departments. So perhaps we don't actually need a motion for it. Maybe seeing a schedule
You don't,
might be,
you're not specifically talking about a health report.
no.
Okay. I think you're right. Anybody else have any comments?
No.
Okay. Moving on. Yes. That was my announcement. I asked. I asked
Oh.
Deputy Mayor. You didn't have any more?
Oh, are you officially asking me?
Officially asked him.
Okay, I just have a couple. I'd just like to let everyone know that Counselor Ainsworth and myself will be attending the public speaking contest at the Legion on Sunday, February 18th. And I'd also like to wish everyone a happy Family Day on the 19th. Good time to get together. We do have public skating that on that day. I'm not sure about any other events, so I'll just conclude with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and that's nice to hear that we do have some plans for Family Day, and that's one thing that we can use our arena, and hopefully lots of people use it. I know they do when it's public skating and that type of stuff, so
Thank
I
you.
think Mike even goes quite a bit.
Yep.
Here, Catherine?
I don't want to name the business in case I'm wrong on it, but that is a business sponsored event, not a township sponsored event.
Thank you.
That's even better. Okay, we're at item 14, which is closed session. I prefer to take a break at this time. Yes,
Mayor, I need to ask council if they don't mind. A small break is great, but we need to work through lunch. I have to leave at 1:30 for a litigation matter.
okay. We have a conflict then. Because we had planned to go for lunch over at the church. But if we have to do that, we can't do both. How long are you gonna be? The rest of the day? Okay. I apologize, sorry.
I should speak into the mic. I apologize, Mayor Lovell. This just came up late last week. And there was an urgency provided to the matter that I need to go deal with. I attempted to, I was supposed to have that meeting yesterday at 2:00, but a different matter came forward. So I put it off to today, and I apologize, but I do need to go.
Okay. Go ahead.
Mayor Lobo, I could make a call and ask for a delivery if that would help us do a working lunch.
Well, we can take a 5-minute lunch and I think.
Yeah. Good idea.
Okay. Well, I think we should decide this first, because we can't come into close and decide whether we're gonna get Joan to go down. That's
Well,
not-
I'll have it delivered.
Yeah, I know, but we should make that decision before we go into close, because that's not a close.
That's
Correct?
right.
Okay, so we are not unable to attend. So Joan has offered to take and call in an order for lunch if people are so declined. And I don't have a problem with that. Do you want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Seconded, that we give, I guess, that we give Joan her orders and take the money, and then we can go into close.
Yep.
Seconded by Greg. All in favor? Motion's carried. And we'll read off this. That the Council of the Township of Allen Colvin will be recessing to a closed session under section 239-2 to consider the following items. Personal matters such as identifiable individual, including municipal or local board members, regarding staff matters and illegal dumping. A proposal of pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board regarding Northumberland Forest Agreement, the labor relations or employee relations regarding staff matters for 2024 draft budget staffing requests, and litigation or potential litigation affecting municipality. And that the acting CAO, fire chief, CEMC, treasurer, chief building official, bylaw enforcement officer, HR manager, administrative assistants to the building planning department, and the deputy clerk will attend as required at 11:54. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth. Second by Councilor O'Neill. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, for putting us back into open session. Be it resolved that the council of the township of Alberta reconvene to the open session of council meeting today at 1:45 p.m. Further, that the confidential resolutions moved in the closed session regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board members, regarding staffing matters and illegal dumping, and a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board regarding Northumberland Forest Agreement, and labor relations or employee negotiations and staffing matters 2024 draft budget staffing requests, and litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality for one item are hereby referred to this open session of council for adoption. Do I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, second by Councilor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion's carried. Approval of the confirming bylaw. Be it resolved that this bylaw number 1024, 2024, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular session of council on February 13th, 2024, be read and deemed passed this 13th day of February 2024. Can I get a mover and a second? Moved by Councilor O'Neill and seconded by Councilor Booth. Discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Motion to adjourn. Be it resolved that the regular session of council of the Tuesday, February 13th, 2024, be adjourned at 2:46 p.m. 1:46. Thank you.
Oh, who's that Boston now?
Mover and seconder. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Councilor O'Neill. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you, staff, and long meeting.